Charlie Austin, good morning. Right, do you agree with Henry or Carragher?
I think on the situation, it's when you're looking at it, I think I get what Thierry Henry's saying, 22 years, don't care how it happens, just win the league. But I think now the way the game's evolved and off the field stuff with social media, that plays a massive part in fans obviously having opinions, and one of the reasons why a lot of people get annoyed, I guess, with Arsenal fans and Mikel Arteta. Some of the antics, sideline antics that Mikel Arteta does can irritate people, but ultimately they've been the best team in a poor Premier League this year.
Are they getting the respect that they deserve? Because they are top of the league and very much in control.
No, they're not, because and I've been here also in previous shows. I'm going to say no, because all that said is set pieces. They score a lot of goals from set pieces. When actually, do you know what? Yeah, they do, but also they do enough to get over the line in other aspects as well. So are they getting the respect? No, they are head and shoulders above everybody else in the Premier League at this present moment. Do I expect them to go on the end of the season and win the league? I do now, after Man City have just dropped off. But I don't think they're fully getting the respect that they deserve. And always Mikel Arteta.
In terms of their style of play, are we as football fans and the media, do we have some sort of responsibility for that? Because we've said in the past, Arsenal play beautiful football, but they're not winning anything. Now they're not playing that beautiful football, and it looks like they're going to win quite a bit.
Well, there you go. You can cake and eat it. You play good football and don't win nothing, or the football not be great and you win. So for us, everybody connected to Arsenal Football Club was great watching them playing free-flowing football, but when it comes to crunch time, not winning anything is an issue. Now they've gone, right, we're going to adapt our game, and it looks like we're going to win a couple of trophies. I don't think anyone at Arsenal really that bothered about that.
It's strange because fans have different opinions. Obviously, that's what football's all about. But for me as a football fan, I don't care how my club play. I'm happy if we're winning or we get a decent draw. I'm not that bothered about the style of football, but some fans very much are. You've got to do it our way. So what do you think the Arsenal fans think?
Yeah, but there ain't no... What do you mean our way?
Well, that's the big question.
Yeah, but what is our way?
Even managers ask, what do you mean by our way?
Well, there ain't no... The only way that any football fan, in my opinion, any football fan supporting their club, their way is whatever way the manager decides to play. And you have to buy into the manager's style of play, whatever that may be. And they've tried the free-flowing football, and that's our way with Arsenal. Then he's adapted and changed and gone, right, I'm going to try something different. It looks like he's paying off at the moment.
In terms of attacking, attractive football, whatever you think that may be, is any Premier League club playing that this season?
No, not consistently. At times, you might see the odd half an hour or the odd game or two, but not consistently. I think as you look at the Premier League now, that fast, free-flowing football has almost changed to, how can we do what Arsenal's doing with the set pieces? They're getting so much joy from it. Can we do that now? And that's where it's gone to. That's where it's a full football cycle of it. But as I sit here now with 30-plus games on the board in the Premier League, you're looking at it going, there's no standout team that has been phenomenal with the ball this year.
I've got an Arsenal fan coming up, but first here's Arsenal fan Scarlett Katz Roberts. Good morning to you, Scarlett. Right, Jamie Carragher couldn't really put his finger on why people don't want Arsenal to win the league. So I'm going to run you through a few options. First of all, is it your players? Do your players, quote, rub people up the wrong way?
I'll try and help Jamie. I think it's a combination of things, but mainly I think it's an existential threat. I think seeing a big club who haven't become numb to trophy success for years of winning, seeing them rise to success in an unequal league is really painful, particularly for someone like Jamie Carragher with his Liverpool affiliations. I think when City are winning, you can easily compartmentalize that. You can say that is a club with extreme resources, with access to things we could never imagine. And, you know, ultimately, the City fan base is smaller. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. I don't think people encounter that many City fans all the time. So you can kind of put it away. But I think everybody knows that if Arsenal win the league, they are going to be seeing a lot of parade footage and a lot of happy Arsenal fans, which definitely rubs people up the wrong way.
It is true, though, that a lot of neutrals, for instance, I've seen a load of neutrals that want Tottenham to go down, and they've got no affiliation to Arsenal. There's a lot of neutrals who don't want Arsenal to win the league without having an affiliation to any of your rivals, and they don't support a rival either. So I still think there must be something that is, quote, rubbing people up the wrong way. Is it Mikel Arteta? Do people not like him? Is it the fans? Is there something about you as a fan base that you think other fans don't like?
I think it's difficult to watch because I think ultimately the question becomes, why not me? You know, why not Chelsea? Why not Liverpool? I felt the same thing when I had to watch my twin sister celebrate her league title victory last year because...
Was that when you headbutted her?
That did not happen.
She says it did. She says it did.
But it did not happen. And no, that was when we scored a late winner against Leicester a long time ago. But I think it's difficult to watch people who really want something get what they want. People have dined out on Arsenal's perceived failures for the last 3 years, and they're not going to be able to do it anymore. And ultimately, I think, you know, isn't that the same thing that unites us in wanting to laugh at Tottenham? You can't laugh at Arsenal anymore once they've lifted the title.
Well, why? See, Arsenal haven't been dominating for the last few years. We've been talking about it's been 22 years since they won the title. Normally when a club dominates, Liverpool were doing it kind of in my early days of being a football fan. Then it was Manchester United for years, and Chelsea did it for a little while as well. I can kind of understanding people in this country, when people are at the top, we want to knock them down. That is just true in life, not just in football. But it hasn't been like that for Arsenal. That's why I can't understand it, personally. I don't understand why people are wanting to knock Arsenal down and they haven't even been at the top for long. This is more of an underdog story right now.
Well, I think there's also a perception of the style of play that I'm sure we'll get into that I think is somewhat unfair and, you know, comes off the back of a kind of era where Arsenal were renowned for playing the most beautiful football. But ultimately, I think that's just a stick to beat Arsenal with. You know, it's just another way of saying you're not winning in the right kind of way. And I think all that right kind of way, wrong kind of way is simply the fact that there are a lot of Arsenal fans and a lot of potential enthusiasm and nervousness about it. And I don't think that exists for Man City. I don't think that currently exists for Chelsea because they've had success recently. I think that the one I can compare it to is Liverpool. And it's fair to say, like, Liverpool played better football than Arsenal last season. But where are Liverpool now with their brilliant style of football?
Well, they're not playing that. Liverpool are not replicating that now, and no one really, anyone in the Premier League are not playing with a certain style of football that is attractive to any paying customer or anything like it. As team collective again and again and again, no team is. I'm fully aware of the unfair criticism that people are saying about Arsenal with the set piece FC and stuff. In that regard, they're just better at that in that aspect and the other side of stuff, hence why they are top. Tom, I am going to have to say to you, how can you say Arsenal? What kind of underdog story are we talking about Arsenal here?
No, I know what you mean.
You're saying they have been there knocking on the door. It's not someone that's come from the bottom half. They've been knocking on the door for the last 3 years, seconds or third, where they've been, and been close and close and close, and not had enough to get over the line. And now they have built something to get over the line.
I'll explain that. I'm not saying they're Leicester. I'm saying that because Arsenal have not been dominating, they've been getting very, very close. That's why I can't really understand why there is so much of a want from neutrals to not want them to win the league. Whereas I did understand it when the teams are dominating.
I think it is, Scarlett, on there, and you're obviously on there as well. I think it's a big advocate. It does come from social media and what comes on there and what is seen, whether it's from different stations that are on there and different people having their own opinions, and then it's just a gathering of people that come along and how it comes across. I think so at times what we see on there is not very good.
Well, I think also, you know, it challenges the dominant narrative about Arsenal that many people have been making their living on for the past few years. You cannot call a team who win the title bottle jobs. So what do you do then? You know, there are some pundits in particular I can think of who I have no idea what they'll talk about anymore because they can't call Arsenal bottle jobs. And that's what I mean by existential threat. I think it's a threat to the very framework through which people view the Premier League.
It's about time Arsenal won the league, isn't it, for what Mikel Arteta has built up.
That's my point.
Yeah, but it's about time.
I don't see why Arsenal are offending anybody.
They're not offending it. They're the only way I can see they're offending people is because of the fans and what we see on social media. What we are seeing them do on the pitch, it's not offending anyone, is the fans of their own teams are thinking, why can't we replicate this?
So going back to that question of do Arsenal rub people up the wrong way, are you saying, when I asked you, Scarlett, is it the fans? I suppose if we add that to fans on social media, is that a factor?
Yeah, and I think we probably have to draw a distinction here between online football fan world and real life football world.
X is not X or Twitter, it's not real. No,
exactly,
it's not real.
Exactly.
It's not real life, believe me.
It's a very intense place, and I don't think anyone is their best selves on there. I certainly have found the extremity of the discourse around Arsenal over the years quite frustrating because, quite frankly, I think it's been an added factor in pressurising the team, and some of the negativity on there is really painful to read as a fan. But ultimately, you know, I think Arsenal fans are nervous, and I think that is fair enough. It's absolute hell this season. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've never committed or doubled down on the idea that I think we're going to win the title because it's so competitive. I mean, I think this is maybe not the worst Premier League season there's ever been, but actually I'd reframe it as the most competitive Premier League season we've ever seen. And that is not pretty, and it's not going to be pretty to watch a fan base who haven't won a title in 22 years try and lock in and watch their team win a title.
Well, it'll be the best for a while for you if you win it. Scarlett, thank you.
Thank you very much.
In the goals they were scoring, Jamie, you know, averaging over 2 a game in those 2 seasons of 22-23 and 23-24. Was that when they were at the best to watch, Thierry, would you say?
Yeah, you know, that's when you could see Odegaard on the ball more often than not. That's where you could see Bukayo also a tiny bit more lively. But I think Jamie is making a great point here that I can reverse on the other side. At one point, you need to find your comfort zone as a coach. I think, as you said, Jamie, he felt obliged to kind of have that Pep brand style of football. I'm not saying that's the case, but maybe he's more comfortable playing that way. And one thing that I noticed over the years, whatever style of football he was playing, this is not it's not a bad thing. That's your trait of character. When sometimes the game was on the line in a 0-0, or you're 1-0 up, more often than not in any style, he often thought about not losing the game. Not losing the game. So I said, at one point at that moment, I always said the fear of winning started to creep in some of those games. So maybe when he went about it a different way, maybe he's more comfortable in that way. Maybe he didn't fit so much the Pep way. I'm just saying, because I don't know, I don't speak to Mikel like that, and I'm not in the dressing room. But you need to find your own way of being a coach. And for me, he did find it. And I talked about the building. I don't know if you saw me. I one time said it's a tall building now and stuff like that. Now it's a solid and tall building. Yes, people might, and I hear people talking about, oh my God. I mean, everything that he's doing is part of the game. When people talk about set pieces, like you're not going to score on set pieces, what not? Well, I mean, I don't get it. So I do think personally that is a tiny bit more comfortable because it is more comfortable in this type of situation. He does play, so he does every time. When we go 1-0 up in the game, we tend to play a different way.
Thierry, what I mentioned before in terms of what I'm seeing with Mikel Arteta, something I haven't seen before with a manager. So if you think of managers who've won the Premier League, and it looks like Mikel Arteta's going to, we knew what Klopp was from day one. We knew what Pep was from day one. Don't always get the results straight away, but you know sort of what they are. Ferguson, Wenger, you know, you can go through all the managers. With the thing that I find